Welcome to Full Tilt Vegas. This platform is Go Live Vegas Studios in the heart of Las Vegas. You can get my book on Amazon. You can get on Google Play. You can download it on your phone. Barnes & Noble, Blackjack, Craps, and Roulette teaches you all the games. Oh, and I keep forgetting, subscribe to the channel. Costs you nothing. And smash that like button. Don't forget, subscribe so you get all the notifications. And not only this show, we have other platforms here that you can see. Okay, I'm going to go to percentages on pass line on the crap table. Okay, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know this. When you bet a bet on the crap table, so I'm going to use $10. Because I'm going to show you why I'm using $10 when I get to full double odds. Okay, when you bet on the pass line, the house percentage is 1.41%. To buck that house edge, you would bet odds on the back, which the casino likes to call them free odds. They're not free. They came out of your wallet. So the other thing they don't tell you is they don't finish the sentence, which they should be doing. The house has no advantage on the odds bet because they pay true odds, but they should continue to tell you that they do have an advantage, and that advantage is the number. So if you have the numbers 6 and 8, and you have 5 and 9 and 4 and 10, that's where their advantage is. Now the 6 and 5, you notice comes up a lot in craps. So that'd be 6 to 5, and that's what it pays, true odds, 6 to 5, because the dice comes up 6 ways, and 5 and 8, 6 and 8 come up 5 ways, so it pays 6 to 5, because the casino has 6 ways for them to win and only 5 for you. The 5 and 9, there's 6 ways for the casino to win and only 4 for you. The 4 and 10, the casino has 6 ways of winning, and the you only have 3. So there's the advantage. Is this live, them people? Like it much. My family got us gambling? Well, go ahead and get my book. Learn anything about blackjack, craps, and roulette. I teach you card counting too if you're interested in that. But never tell anybody you can card count. Anyway, so those odds that you take in the back, you should be taking odds. A lot of people don't like taking odds on 4 and 10, but that pays the most. It pays 2 to 1 or 6 to 3, which is fantastic. So when you bet, when you take odds in the back, the casino, if they offered that, a pass line bet and odds, they wouldn't make no money. They go out of business quick. So the reason how they're able to offer these odds are the other bets, especially the proposition bets. Those are the worst bets. You could use them to hedge bet. You can go into some of the episodes I have on hedge betting, on proposition bets. I do use those for that. That's as high as 17% for the casino. The casino bases everything off $100. So in the long run, on $100 on proposition bets, some as high as 17%, you're losing $17 out of 100. So that's how they base that off of. Now, when you bet $5, in the long run, the casino will keep 7 cents. Not while you're there. It's all averaged out in the long run. So it's 7 cents. So you're going to get back, what is that, $4.93? That's not while you're there. That's in the long run. So if you bet $100, they're keeping, actually in the long run, they're going to keep $1.41 in the long run. Now, if you bet, what is it, 100,000, they're going to keep $14,100 in the long run. But that's an average. That's an average in the long run. So, but they have to base it off of something. So that's what they're basing it off of. And then you should play at least. They want you to play 4 hours so you can get rated. And some of these casinos, they want you to go 4 hours in a minimum bet. Some are 15, some are 25. But a lot of people don't do that. But you do get comps. And you're going to gamble anyway, so you might as well get rated and get the comps. Okay, when you bet, let me say, like you got $10 on the pass line. it's 1.41%. Now, to drop the house edge, which has nothing to do with you, but I do tell you to do this because if you say the point is 10, and you bet $10 on the pass line, and you bet $10 for odds in the back, which you don't have to bet, but you should always take odds. Now, say you win the bet. Say 10 comes up. You win $10 for your pass line bet, and you win 20 for the back. So, or your odds. Well, obviously the back, but it's taking the true odds. So since you're up $30, now you're using money management because now you have 3 chances of making more money or losing and breaking out even. What that means is since you won $30 and the point is coming out again, you're looking for 7-11, which is ratios in your favor to hit that. It's 22.23% to hit that versus 2-3-12 craps to lose is 11.12%. So the percentage is a lot higher for you to hit 7-11 than craps. And any other number, the board numbers, that's 66.66% to hit a number. The reason why that's high, because you got all those numbers, and people think, well, why am I hitting that more than a 7-11? Because the dice are set up to come out 7. And I showed you in a lot of my episodes on craps and dice how the dice are set up for 7 to come up. So that's why 7 comes up a lot. So once you make a point, 7 is now your enemy. So remember that. So say you put, say the point, it doesn't matter. Say you got $10 on the pass line, and then you put $10 in the back. By doing that, the house edge from 1.41% drops down. If you win, well, it doesn't matter. It's supposed to be in the long run. But if you do win, it drops down to 0.84%. So now the casino, instead of $1.41 in the long run, they're only going to make 84 cents. So, but this is this is what they call averaging out your play in the long run. So now you go ahead and take double odds, because some casinos allow you to do this. Taking double, some are 3, 4, 5, some are 5 times, some are 10 times odds. There used to be the Riviera, they were offering 100 times odds. I had a friend, Roger Guerrero. Hello, Roger, you watching? When he first came here, when he visited me, when I lived here quite a bit back, he said, hey, Richard, let's go down over here. They're offering 10 times odds. I said, Roger, you know what that means? That means they're offering it. They're not giving it to you. You have to make the bet, and then you get the payout of 10 times odds. It doesn't mean you're going to get 10 times odds. You have to place the money to get the 10 times odds. So that's what it means. So when a casino advertises, we're having 10 times odds over here, or 5 times odds, that's great. Because some houses now, which a lot of casinos are probably going to start doing, they're only going to go probably double or 3, 4, 5. So you should be taking either close to maximum odds, or you should be taking full odds. You should, because if you get on a hot streak and a table gets really hot, you're gonna make a ton of money. My record is it's one of the stories in my book. It's on craps. I have 3 true stories that happened to me. That was one of them on craps. I bought in for $300. My first $44. I started playing, and I caught a table that was on fire. And that story, as a matter of fact, I think it says Table on Fire. That's the title of it. From my $44, I won $9,600. But you got to remember something. I know what I'm doing, and the table was on fire, like I said. But yes, there was 7s between that, but I was already way up. So when I got another shooter, the shooter was actually shooting fantastic. I start betting again. But I always got my initial investment back first. You should do that. Always get your initial investment back first. I bought it for $44. I say same bet. That's the jargon. Same bet. Same bet. Don't start pressing. Same bet. Don't start playing anything else. Get all your money back, $44 or whatever, and then you start. You can take a couple more, and then you can press if you want, or you can take another number. So that's what I did, and then pretty soon my $12 and 6 and 8 became 24. Then it was 30. Then it was 60. It was 90. It was 120. Then it was 240, and I just kept going all the way up. Okay, so now if you take on the double odds on the back, the percentage in the long run drops to 0.160%. So the casino's only making $60. But that has nothing to do with you. You remember that. It has nothing to do with you. So 60 cents. That's what they're making in the long run. But the house percentage dropping has nothing to do with you. But you could use this extra money to take different bets or maybe start another session. Because each person you play at the crap table, they should be a session. Each person that has a dice, that's a session. And you try to beat that session. So if you bought in for $44 or whatever, 50, 60 bucks, and you went over, say you made $100, so you're up $40 on that person, and he sevens out, you beat that session for that person. So you try to beat each person and use them as a session. If you catch the next person and that person shoots for 20 minutes or 25 minutes, and say you bought in for $50, and all of a sudden you have $1,000, you beat the hell out of that session. Now remember this: once a new person is coming, like how much? When there's a new person shooting, that's a new session. Don't go from you're playing red, then you go to green, then you go to black, and you're making all this money. When a new person comes up, that's a new session. You know what you do? You go right back down to your initial buy-in for $44. You do not keep playing black, and you got 100 across. You're playing maybe a hard way, or you're playing here and there on the field. Don't do that. You gotta start from the beginning, just like you just walked up, because that person can 7 out really fast. You can get 3, 4, 7 outs. I've seen a lot of people make pretty good money, and all of a sudden they give it back within maybe 20 minutes. They might get 4 or 5 people 7 out, and they're playing like they were making all the money on the first person they won all the money from. So I tell you all that in my crap. A lot of my crap episodes I have. You just go through them and look at them, and I teach money management and hedge betting, which was really important. Now, if you lay the full double odds, in other words, on a 6 and an 8, instead of laying double, they'll let you put the other $5. So instead of $20, you can put 25 on a 6 and 8. They'll let you do that. What is that? 26 to win 13. Love the gambling, bro. $26. Yeah, that's what do you get? Parlays and all that. Yep. I've seen people win a ton of money. One time I won $86 with $1 on a crap table. $86. I played the hard 4 and I hit it 2 in a row. And then I think I pulled some off and put another $1 or something, but I started with $1. There's all kinds of stories I can tell you. Trust me. Anyway, so now if you go 3 times odds, the house percentage drops to 0.47%. So the more you bet in the back for taking true odds, the less the casino makes in the long run. But it has nothing to do with you trying to throw a number or playing sessions. People say has nothing to do with that. That's all it is the casino paying out those odds. That's why a lot of casinos don't like 10 times odds, because there are people that will come in, and if there's a hot streak, I mean, I've seen this guy who I think he made $2,400. He did it in about 10 minutes, and I could tell the floor guy was all pissed off, like it was his money. But hey, you offered 10 times odds. No, let me think here. It was 100 times odds. It was at the Strat Asphere. Now it's called Strat, but I like that, huh, Aaron? Now, I've seen a lot of people take some pretty good odds, but they're way up. Now, you might see somebody play 1,000, 2,000 in the back, but their pass line bet is 1,000 or 500. I've done it myself. I had 500 on the pass line. I took 500 true odds bet in the back, but it was a hard 4. I actually hit the hard 4. Matter of fact, that story's in my book. I hit she actually threw a hard 4, and I had $100 on a hard 4, and I made $2,200 in one roll. But I was already up $6,500 when I made the bet. So now, if you take 3, 4, 5, that's 0.37%. So you can see it's dropping. The more odds you take in the back, the less a casino makes. But it has nothing to do with you. 5 times odds is 0.32%, so 32 cents. And then you got 10 times odds, which is 0.18%, which is 18 cents. And then it goes 20 times odds, which there's casinos that used to have that, and that is 0.09, so that's 9 cents. And then 100 times odds, if you're constantly taking these odds, 100 times odds, I've seen people do it, it's 0.02. The casino's only making 2 cents, but that has nothing to do with you. The casino is dishing out that true odds money, though. I mean, you can make a ton of money, but a lot of people don't like to play. Even some don't even take odds. You should take odds. There was a guy, I was playing at the Rio. I did tell this story here before, but there was a guy at the Rio made, what did he say? He made $6,800 and he took no odds. And I said, how long were you playing? He said, probably about an hour. Somebody was shooting an hour. And I says, all you gotta do is times it by 3. So 6,800 times 3. That's what he should have made if he would have took the proper odds in the back. So he asked me, what is that? So the point was 10, one of the hardest points to hit, 4 and 10. And he had $500 on the pass line. So I told him, well, never put less in the back. Remember J-Lo, small in the front, big in the back. So what you do is, I told him, you got to put $500 in the back. So he put $500, and I swear, once he put it down, he pulled his hand back. The guy threw the dice and hit a 10. So the guy won $500 for the pass line and $1,000 for his odds in the back. And he looked at me, really? You mean I could have won all? You could have won all that money. So he gave me $100. But always take odds, whatever you do. So these percentages, you don't have to know them. It'd be nice if you did, but it'll what it does is it shows you good and bad bets. Let me see. I got Aaron, about 2 minutes. So, yeah. So remember, always take odds, no matter what. I don't care what the point is, 4 and 10. A lot of people don't like that, but it pays 2 to 1. It does work out in the end. What did she say? What's her name? Shahel. The casino is a what? What is that? I can't. That's what I thought. The light's really bright in my face. Desperate place. They're gonna get desperate. Everybody knows. I'm gonna say it. There's a recession coming. I can already see there's some companies I already know that are laying off. A lot of crypto blockchains are laying off. There's just a lot of people laying off. But so the casinos are gonna get real tight. They're even now some of the sports places, they don't give you the free water or liquor no more. You have to go to the bar and buy it. They're getting really cheap, and they might start carding everybody. They want to keep all the bums out. So what do you say? They told me life is a gamble, so you am going to roll the dice. Roll the dice. I love it. 7 will come up the most, so remember that. So 7, a winner, frontline winner. Let me see. I'm trying to see here what I got, Aaron. Got about a minute. Okay, so yes, life is a roll of dice. You're right. You can go in my book and read everything on craps. Loverboy. Yeah, most people are going to play somebody's blackjack table tonight. Really? You're going to go play tonight? I want to. You can download, if you want, you can download my book on your phone, and I'll show you good and bad bets on blackjack. And if you're going to play blackjack, always play 2 hands. Don't play 3. That's why they offer it. I've done the scenarios, and I've done 10 shoes each on 2 plays or 3 plays. 2 is a little bit better because sometimes one will pay the other. You lose this one wins. So that's blackjack is great. I also teach card counting in there, so you can go ahead and look at that. And the thing is, I always tell everybody, don't tell anybody, nobody, that you're card counting, because at one time it came back to bite me. Okay, we're going to be going to a commercial here. Brett's going to be on with his analysis of, I think, basketball and a couple other ones. So I guess we're going to see you next Saturday here on Full Tilt Vegas. Thank you very much.
What's going on, everybody? Brett Lawson here, co-host of Full Tilt Vegas and local sports analyst. Just a quick heads up, moving forward, I will be a regular part of the show where my segment, the back end of the show, will focus on everything in the world of sports gambling. You will still have Richard's insights and expertise and everything from his book, Winning Ways, in the first part of the show, where he will dabble with table games and overall floor-related gambling, where my part of the show will focus on analyzing matchups, odds, totals, money lines, spreads, props, overall gambling, psychology, and philosophy, and just the things you need to know if you want to become a sports bettor, or if you already are a sports bettor and want to sharpen your skills in that racket. So stick around. Moving forward, you will have both ends of the spectrum in the world of gambling with Richard and myself moving forward on Full Tilt Vegas.
All right, thank you, Richard. We are off and running with the sports side of things on the show as usual, and a little bit more from Richard today, which we always love. Again, get out the book. It's in Winning Ways. It's all in the book. Anything you catch in the show, you could also catch on the pages here as well. So as we shift to sports, Lugo, my main man, once again joining me as he has the past couple of weeks. Happy to have him back on the show. Shout out Jernos on the shirt. Not all may get that reference, but those who do will appreciate it.
Baby.
So obviously an eventful week. We'll get a little tight on time this week because Richard took some time to dive into his expertise, but again, still plenty to talk about, and we will get to it all right here on Full Tilt. Obviously, you just heard Lugo. He couldn't contain himself. He jumped right to it. Warriors get it done in 6 games, capturing their 4th title in an 8-year window. And right when everyone seemed to think the dynasty was dead once and for all, here we are, and the dynasty is continuing once more with chances of them taking it again in the near future, especially if you look at that future board, which we will here in a few minutes. But before we look ahead, Lugo, we have to look back. Now, obviously, there's a lot to take away from this series. There was a lot to take away on a game-by-game basis regarding both teams. But in the immediate aftermath, not even the immediate aftermath, because we've had a few days that have passed, couple days have passed since this happened and since this has all gone down. So now that we've kind of soaked this in, chewed it over a few times in the past couple of days, sitting here on this Saturday, what is your biggest takeaway heading into the offseason when looking at what went down in this series finals? Does it have to – obviously Steph Curry is the takeaway, and we'll get to him in a moment. But what's your biggest takeaway based off of what you just saw with Golden State and Boston?
The franchise is just ready to win, man. All the doubt with Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green throughout this whole playoffs, you know what I mean? Picking up I've been seeing clips all week of just people bashing back in the day Andrew Wiggins, and it was great to finally see that dude finally come out and be a ball player and be the athlete, the number 1 draft pick that we thought he was going to be. The role players, they are always just countless role players on that team, and they will find them in years to come. As long as Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson are there, where do we put that big 3?
Well, that's the immediate question. It's getting to the point now where we talk so much about Golden State as far as how they've revolutionized the game of basketball in this era. We talked about Golden State, how much they have dominated this era, but it's time to start talking about more where they fit in the grand scheme of things when talking about the pantheon of NBA history. Obviously, the 2017 and 2018 teams were mentioned just off the star power alone with what Durant was able to do. But this is a dynasty now that has had titles on both ends of that. And I wasn't really big, Lugo, into the whole camp of Steph Curry needs an MVP to really solidify his legacy, a finals MVP. I don't think he needed that. But one thing he did do by attaining that, he eliminated that argument forevermore.
He just needed the performance.
Right.
He didn't need the award.
He didn't need the award. He needed the performance because in 2015, let's be real, he had the performance. It was, but even so, I think Steph deserved it in 2015. Yeah. Iguodala defended LeBron James. They gave it to Iguodala. I understand. And then you have, obviously, the 2 years with Durant. Durant's going to win that. No brainer. We saw it before with our own eyes. Anyone who was watching it knew Durant was going to win it, even though Steph was made his presence known. And then, of course, here we are on this side of things. No more Durant. He's had a big performance in the finals before, but not one that he could truly call his own.
All the haters said that he wasn't going to win any more trophies.
And now he wins another trophy while also putting to bed that very argument that got pretty tiresome after a while because if you have watched Steph Curry, if you have followed the greatness, you didn't need that finals MVP, but now you got it, and it makes it just that much more comfortable to put him in that upper echelon. He was already there to begin with, but now, again, like you said, Lugo, it's a statement to the point where now you solidify yourself, you etch yourself in that hall of greatness, if you will. We're already talking about a revolutionary player and the second best point guard to ever do it. And
especially with the other two of the big three struggling.
And
as bad
exactly,
as they
and
did
he had,
throughout
like
the
you
series.
said, he had to backpack it much of the way.
Yep.
And even in the big game 4, where he goes off in his greatest playoff postseason performance ever, he follows that up with an absolute dud.
Where
So-
the team actually, that's the only
And
game
the
the
team
team
had a-
all itself
can't-
like truly played.
Absolutely, and
And
that
then
was
it was back to him. And then last night it was all the pieces of the puzzle.
And
Everyone was firing.
that
last
was
night,
it.
man.
It basically he had to backpack it. They took the load for a game in Game 5, and then in Game 6 they put it all together. Draymond silences all the doubts and the complaints about the podcasting. Clay doesn't obviously have the Game 6 Clay performance like we saw
Give
against
him an
Dallas.
off-season.
But
Give
he
him
did.
an off-season.
Clay will be okay. I think Clay had such a bad injury and had to take 2 years away from the
And
game.
hops in like 10 games before the
Yeah.
playoffs even start.
It was ridiculous to expect Clay to go off in tremendous fashion. And even what we got in Dallas, that sample size in that Game 6 was impressive. But to think Clay was just going to take over in that catch-and-shoot type of fashion,
Yeah.
I think that was a little asinine. But at least seeing him involved and seeing him very involved as well as Draymond in that Game 6, they put it all together in a collective team effort. And across this board, when looking at this series, so much of the conversation was about Boston has too much depth. Boston is too big. Boston is too physical. Boston plays too well defensively, and Golden State did what? Golden State showed their depth in this series.
Yep.
Golden State showed their ability to play defense, and they showed that they could hang in the pocket with Boston, a tough
Exactly.
physical team.
And they showed they had one of the greatest players in the world.
Yeah.
The greatest players to ever touch touch a basketball, man.
And the thing is, if you follow the NBA closely, you already know that. Even if you follow it at a casual level at this point, you know that. But as we both know, Lugo, basketball in terms of the fan worship is a very weird game. So legacies are often more important since there's such an individual emphasis in the NBA. Legacies are often more important in terms of just boosting that resume as opposed to other sports where you kind of know you don't necessarily need those accolades. If you have eyes, you could see that player's greatness. Where here in the NBA, it's hard to win fans over. That's why it's important to eliminate those cynical arguments, and that's what Steph Curry did. We already knew he was one of the all-time greatest, but now those naysayers can't take anything away from him. But again, it's inevitable that that's going to happen. People are going to talk about Golden State. Do they use too much money? Obviously, that's a separate conversation. Quite frankly, that has more to do with the luxury tax than it does the salary cap anyway, because Golden State, being a big market team, can dip into that luxury tax and spend more money. That's more so the reason why you see these big market teams thriving, or at least being able to thrive and spend money, while the smaller to mid-market teams kind of get drained out, bleed out a little bit, not because of the cap, more so because of luxury tax. That will be an ongoing conversation throughout the offseason, probably the main conversation in the offseason. That has nothing to do with Golden State, though, and their foundation. That's all through the draft, bringing in Steph, bringing in Clay, bringing in Draymond, and here we are through an 8-year window. They do it with Durant. They do it without Durant. They do it against LeBron James. They do it against a Boston team that everyone thought was going to be the team.
Watch out for that team.
And exactly, they're insanely
Them
well.
dudes are gonna be nice.
Insanely well built, insanely well put together, and seem to have all the right pieces. But Lugo, and that's what we'll shift to now. We'll kind of shift to what went wrong for Boston. I think they just ran out of gas. And I think so much emphasis was put on, again, the physicality and their ability to just kind of really hang in tough battles. We forgot that they can't necessarily explode on a scoring basis like a team like Golden State can, and that's what they needed ultimately. Jason Tatum, I think, just ran out of gas, got a little bit burned out, just didn't have much in the tank. When you think about how many minutes he played over 1,000 minutes in this postseason. So much of the scoring aspects of this team go through him, even when Jaylen Brown is clicking. I just think they were a little shorthanded.
Man. It's just inexperience. They went against a team that's been there 8 out of 9 years or something like that. What is it? 7 out of 9. And then you got a team that's fresh into the mix, man. The 2 young stars. Jaylen Brown showed out consistently. I think he had such a better series in this finals than Jason Tatum.
Oh, no, he was Jaylen,
sure.
No doubt. And that's what I'm saying. I think so much of Boston's scoring ability flows through when those 2 players click at the same time. And when they don't click, both of them collectively on the same night, they can't really rack it up. We saw Al Horford ball out the first game. He didn't do much the rest of the way.
You want to talk about someone that really didn't do much, even talking besides the offense, where's the defensive player of the year?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
out there getting buckets,
And-
getting scored on.
I
You know what I
get,
mean?
and
I
get
know it's
that.
a hard task guarding
Yeah.
Clay and Steph, but
There were some games
if
where
you're
Boston.
the best,
Well,
you
there
got
was-
to prove it at that moment, and he just didn't step up to the challenge.
There
I
were
feel.
some games where Boston, it got away from them. Golden State would go on a run. It was clear, and Boston just couldn't cover that gap. And a lot of that, again, was the fact that, yes, Marcus Smart wasn't as strong defensively. Maybe Robert Williams wasn't either. But as far as a lineup, this was a team that was able to get through Brooklyn,
yeah.
able to get through a Chris Middleton, Milwaukee without Chris Middleton,
yep.
and then be a really good Heat team that I think also kind of ran out of
And
gas.
you got to think back-to-back 7-game series too. They swept the Knicks. They swept the Nets.
Yeah.
Or was it the
They swept-
gentlemen?
no, they
yeah,
swept the
the
Nets,
Nets,
4-0.
and then they had back-to-back 7-game series.
Yeah.
That's tough, man. You're going to the finals, and I was watching the highlight of the season, like in a little highlight clip, and it showed that last second game, and where they just I saw the celebration. And I was like, these dudes really felt like they had made the like that was it. You know what
And
I
this
mean?
is a team
you
that
could
was-
tell that was a team that had never been there. They
Yeah.
celebrated that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying they celebrated it too much, but you can tell like that was their highlight of the season.
I think that the East was such a long run for them. By the time the finals got there,
Exactly.
it was just hard to repeat that type of performance. Where Golden State, they were more rested. They took care of business in quicker fashion against Dallas. Even against Memphis, they were tested a little bit, but were able to pull away, especially with the injury to Ja Morant. We just saw this Golden State team, I think, kind of sit quietly and comfortably. And even though we knew of their past legacy and their reputation, I think the fact that they weren't the dominant team out of the West this year, Phoenix was. And I think the fact that Boston was, like you said, they attracted so much attention with those big wins against New York, against Brooklyn, Milwaukee, and Miami. I think a lot of people may have not overrated Boston, but they overvalued
Yeah.
Boston while forgetting that Golden State still, despite maybe not having the all-in-all lineup that Boston has with the depth and with that defensive, the defensive prowess, they still had the tools, the right type of tools they needed to beat Boston. And even though Draymond and Clay struggled, Steph did enough to carry the load until they were all able to put it together in Game 6.
And the Warriors, I feel, had a better swing of the injury bug than
No doubt.
than the Boston did.
yeah.
Because you got to think who was the hottest team in the West at the start of the season within the first 20 games. It was the Golden State Warriors
before Phoenix got on.
Exactly.
strong. Yeah.
And then they started getting the injury bug. And then they all kind of bounced back. Clay came back from his injury, but towards the end of the season for Boston, you started getting these guys day to day. Robert Williams, Marcus Smart, Al Horford.
Yep.
You know, he didn't play a game or two in the playoffs this
Yep.
year. So they just kind of got a bad swing with the injury bug for me towards the end of the season, and when the Warriors just came in the hottest team in the NBA.
And even Tatum was banged up. Tatum hurt his ankle in the series before.
Exactly.
Again, a lot of minutes.
Jalen tweaked his game.
Yeah.
Tweaked his ankle in the last game.
Everyone got banged up, and Ime Udoka did a phenomenal job. This was a team that built their foundation through Brad Stevens. A lot of people thought Brad Stevens, he was claimed as his basketball genius. He got close a couple years, couldn't get the job done. You bring in an ex-player. He clicks with the players in the locker room, kind of just fits and meshes right in with that culture and that group that they already have personnel-wise, and look where they are. This is a Boston team that is built, as you just said, to compete in the East for years to come, but I just think we also sometimes forget with, so much emphasis is placed around in basketball, around the star power, around even the three ball. But what did we see proven to be very important in the postseason? Not just the finals, the entire postseason, Lugo. Sorry about that, Aaron. That's why I didn't want to leave that there anyway. But what did we prove? What was proven in the postseason? The fact that defense, depth, playing inside the paint, being
No
able to
matter
take
the
it to the
stars.
rack, the role players, not just star power. All those
Yes.
things still matter, and we
Team
saw
still.
that. Teams still matter, and we saw that even with Golden State. Steph Curry's going to take away the press clippings and the headlines because he was phenomenal, but even when he went in the gutter for a game, we saw what the team was able to do. We saw how big Andrew Wiggins was. We saw key players like Gary Payton Jr. doing things when he needed to, coming
Who
back
got
from
healthy.
injury. Everyone finds their niche with this team, and that's all a reflection of the culture, the foundation, and all of that really goes back to Steve Kerr, Luke.
I was about to say the guy that has
Yep.
won a championship in the past 4 decades as a player and coach.
Yep.
He has the most.
Yeah.
And that's just great for that man. He's just been around winning. And you even said it yesterday or the day before. he before he was coaching in the finals, he was announcing the finals.
Yeah. He's
and then
been there.
before he was announcing the finals,
He was playing
in
it.
the finals.
He's been basically-
He's just been around the finals.
his
He
entire
knows how
adult
to
life.
win.
His entire adult life, he has been there, whether he's competing, broadcasting, or coaching. Either way, he knows how to win, and he knows how to just handle all the attention, all the buzz surrounding that throughout the week. And Mike, I'm telling you, Golden State is poised to do it again.
My
and
man
then
had a nice night.
And then what is the conversation? Then what happened? He did have a nice night. Admitting he's hungover the next morning is something you always like to see from a coach, player, anyone in the sports world. They could be dead honest because we all know it. That's why it
Yeah.
was so cool. You see Brady when he wins with New England. You see Brady when he wins with New England. It's whatever, all button up. He wins with Tampa. You finally get to see drunk Tom. It was great. But
Tequila.
that's another thing. You know, you could compare this to other sports. Can Brady win it without Belichick and the Patriots?
Yep.
He does that. We saw it. You know, Saban. It looks like maybe right when Dabo Swinney and Clemson and even Joe Burrow and LSU start to get hot. Has Saban lost his control over college football? They bounce back and win it in 2020. And then now they're going to have to prove that
Georgia
again.
Bulldogs again.
Because of Georgia, now they're going to have to prove that.
Yep.
So we like when our legends in sports, even the guys who are established and are proven, have to prove themselves yet again. Whether it's, we like it in the fight game when a great champion has to put his belt on the line once more against the upstart contender. So there's all types of scenarios that this kind of tapped into. But I think the main takeaway is, and this would have been the case as we just mentioned, regardless if Boston or Golden State walked away with the Larry O'Brien trophy, this series showed that the smaller things that are sometimes glossed over when talking basketball today, they still matter. And I think that even though a lot of old heads kind of grimace and kind of, just scoff at the notion of Steph Curry and the way he and the Golden State Warriors have revolutionized this game, you can't ignore it. You look at youth ball, you look at high school ball, AAU, the college game, the international
shots are
game.
going up.
Everybody from 1 through 5 on the entire across the floor. Everybody has altered and tweaked their game because of what Steph Curry has done. And when you alter the game that much, that speaks for itself. When you do it by winning 4 titles, then there's nothing they could say against you. And now if you win one more, which Golden State is likely to do, very likely to do in the next few years if they keep this nucleus together. Andrew Wiggins, they keep him another year. He stays along.
They can keep Jordan Poole.
Who know Jordan Poole again? We talk about the depth.
They can keep those like 5.
And what did we see when Steph was hurt towards the end of the regular season? We saw Jordan Poole tear it up.
Exactly.
So we've seen these role players find their niche behind the stars, behind the legends, and because of that, this Golden State team will be ready, rest assured. And if he wins 5, if he's one behind Jordan and tied with Kobe, then who knows where you rank them all the time.
I know.
And I know
I
I'm
don't
getting
even
ahead of
wanna start that
myself. I
conversation.
know I'm getting ahead of myself. But here's the thing, Lugo. We can now have that conversation again
know.
because they are back in the winner circle.
Because now what if LeBron comes back and does something with the Lakers?
Well,
I know
now
that's,
you're
I
now
know
you're
that's
getting
far
ahead of
shot.
yourself.
Hey, because if we're going to start putting him in that conversation, we got to start talking with the LeBron.
I mean,
You
I
what
don't know though,
Very
because
current players.
but think about it though, in terms of who he's stacked up against. Yeah,
Yeah.
because if he has 2, what if he has? He's tied with them now. If he has a
Yeah.
whole nother one than LeBron,
Where do you rank him?
You're right.
You know what I mean? Does he go over him? You know what I mean? But he's
probably not.
it's such a
Because that's what I'm saying.
crazy- you know.
Because no matter how much he wins and how much he does, he'll probably never be ranked above Magic Johnson. That's why this whole
Yeah.
ranking Mount Rushmore game can be a slippery slope. It's more so to talk about the story for what it is, relative for what it is.
Yeah.
And this wasn't so much about where Steph Curry sits all time. It's more so about, is the Golden State dynasty dead or not? They proved it is not dead.
alive.
It's still alive, and can it be alive next year? Looking at the future board right now, before we officially put a bow on basketball talk, again, rest assured it will be a fun offseason in between the free agency. We'll see how this team stays together and some of the other contenders in both
Sign
the West
Zach LaVine.
and the East. Right? Who will make the key move? Who will bring in a key piece? Who may lose a key piece? Who is in poised to make a run this year? Who's going to be out of the picture next year? A lot of turnover. A lot
Will
of
Ben Simmons come back?
what exactly? So there's going to be a lot to talk about, and we will chew it over the offseason. But until then, the best thing we can do is look ahead to the future board. Golden State, right off the bat, set as the future for the 2022-23 season, plus 550 favorites. Again, so there you go. The Warriors, reigning champs, and picked to win it again, at least going off of Vegas. They lead outright favorite, plus 550, with the Celtics trailing at plus 650, Brooklyn behind them at 700, the Clippers at 750, Milwaukee at the same price, Phoenix at plus 900, and Miami and Philadelphia at 14-1, Memphis and Dallas in that mix as well. So essentially what you kind of slated as, but again, that's going to change based off the offseason.
And Dallas already made moves.
Right, and we
Got
know about
Christian Wood.
the draft lottery is set, so we'll see what teams do on that night. That's always interesting as well. There's going to be some shakeup here and a lot of headlines. And again, the biggest one will have to do with something that is off the court, more so what these front offices can do if they keep tapping into and exploiting that luxury tax. But again, that's something that is kind of, not that I guess you could say it's at a level that's beyond the what the players are concerned with. The players are going to play, and the front offices are going to assemble teams. So as long as they can do that, you cannot blame any team for capitalizing on this. That's what professional sports is all about. But Golden State, again, drafting that foundation. So when you make that argument, do it carefully, because again, you can't diminish that very important aspect. So there you have it. Fourth title in an 8-year window, could be fit 5. Vegas again likes them to be to do just that.
Dubs back to back.
Maybe, man. You can't discount it, because the whole story this NBA season was that there wasn't a dominant team. Even Phoenix, when they were hot and winning all those games, there never seemed to be a clear-cut favorite.
Exactly.
And we saw this very future board shake up throughout the year, especially the later end of the year. We will see that again next year without question. But Golden State is the rightful favorite heading into the 2022-23 campaign. We'll see if they can win another one. Again, Steve Kerr and the dynasty continues. So a lot to talk about there, but that puts a wrap on basketball. Again, a lot to reflect back on. Lugo watched a whole 10-minute compilation this morning. Always kind of bittersweet when the season ends. But on the bright side, we still have some hockey to get to. Game 2 going down tonight between the Avalanche and the Lightning. Avalanche taking it to Tampa Bay early on in Game 1, Lugo, before Tampa came rolling back in the third period, sent the game to overtime where the Avalanche put it away. Now, look, the story of this so far is exactly what we'd expect. What can Andrei Vasilevsky do against this scoring power, this offensive firepower of Colorado? He found himself in a hole early before the Lightning were able to show that champion heart and get back into it. I think Game 2 is going to be very pivotal to see how he looks early on, because I heard a good analogy from one media personality, I don't remember who it was, later this week, or a metaphor, maybe the better way to phrase it, but they said it's like I don't even remember it now. Either way, he gets better later in the series. He's that kind of.
He's got to get a feeling.
He's that kind of goaltender.
We'll see after this game.
Exactly.
This will be the game. Can he adapt to the speed? Because he just played a team that's been. I thought the Eastern Conference Finals was the Stanley Cup for a long time.
Because
that's how long the Avalanche didn't even play.
And we talked about how long, again, in the basketball, that Eastern Conference bracket seems so much longer and much more of a battle than the West. It was kind of the same way in hockey. We saw the Avalanche just rip through everyone. They ripped through Edmonton, and here are the Rangers. They come back against Carolina. They find themselves against Tampa Bay, and next thing you know, that's a long series.
Tampa Bay, they went 6 against Tampa Bay.
Next thing you know, Tampa Bay finds themselves in another dogfight against a team that is very fast and likes to put a lot of shots on goal. Another big problem is Tampa Bay has completely struggled with the power play. 0 for 9. That's a bad mark. That's a bad mark for a championship team.
Sounds
but
like
again,
the Golden Knights.
But again, exactly, it really does. And again, bringing in Cassidy, a big move by the Golden Knights, something we'll also discuss now over the offseason. We see what they do to try to get back into championship contention. You saw Gerard Gallant, just like that. He's with the Rangers, taking them to the Eastern Conference Finals. There's been 2 coaching moves now for the Golden Knights that have seemed premature. But if you bring in a coach, a playoff-bound coach like Cassidy, who's found himself in the postseason, the Stanley Cup playoffs, pretty much every year of his career, at least recently, that at least is a good move. We'll see if it pays off. The big thing will be the offseason additions or the offseason moves they address. But Cassidy is the right guy for the helm if they were going to bring DeBoer out and bring him in. But we'll see how that goes. That's more of the local scene. In terms of the national scene at large, this is a highly anticipated matchup. Game 1 proved that this is going to be a fun series, but I don't think we're looking at the total tonight, 6 goals. I think it goes a little bit under that. We had 7.
Yeah.
I don't think this goes to overtime. I think Tampa Bay bounces back.
Definitely a 2-1.
It's in Colorado.
1-0 game.
I think that too may. Yeah, exactly. I think a 2-1.
Tampa Bay's going to turn up the physicality a little bit. On it.
I think
slow the speed down.
Yeah,
you know?
I think a 2-1, maybe a 3-1 even game. I think Tampa Bay bounces back strong with this one, and then we'll really see in Game 3 where this will swing in terms of the momentum one way or the other. Again, momentum is something you kind of use with a grain of salt in when talking sports, especially in the playoffs. But we saw momentum swing in the Rangers-Islanders series.
Yes.
Maybe something similar could happen. We saw them go down 0-2 to New York. They go 0-2 to Colorado. Will they be able to do the same thing? Because we know
tough.
Colorado can score and keep their foot on the gas, something the Rangers were not able to do. Colorado's speed, clearly a problem for Vasilevsky early on in Game 1. Can he bounce back? Again, a goalie, legendary, on his way to becoming a legendary goalie, among the greatest of all time. He's been proven in the postseason in the past, back-to-back champion. He sometimes gets in holes early. We don't see the best version of him in Game 1, maybe not even Game 2. By Game 3, Game 4, he turns into the Vasilevsky everyone knows and fears. That will be fun to track as we move along here in the Stanley Cup. So that should be underway here soon. A lot of action on the ice. It's been a fun postseason, a great matchup. I like the parity that you get in hockey so often, and even when you get like legends who kind of get back in the mix. We saw it with Crosby a few years ago with the Penguins, and we saw Ovechkin, who defeated the Golden Knights to capture his first title. There's some elements of nostalgia, kind of like what we have in basketball, that we have in hockey, but seeing, even though Tampa's kind of been a familiar face the past 2 years, seeing a team like Colorado, who's very well built, very well assembled, and has very, very good a very, very good offensive attack, that freshens things up so things don't ever get stale in hockey, and we're seeing that again in this series. Again, the over-under tonight for 6. That'll be my first play of what we have here tonight. Give me the under on that.
I'm taking the Lightning.
You're
Straight up.
taking the
Taking the Lightning. I like it.
Yeah,
I think they're going.
I think they're at plus. I think they're plus 145. Colorado's the minus 165 favorite.
Yeah, I'm not really paying attention. I just like the Lightning tonight.
There you go.
I
Yeah,
just-
that's
you know
good.
what I mean?
That's
I'm
wise.
riding the three-peat.
Wise
I'm
betting.
riding the three-peat,
Wise
baby.
betting. I'm not paying attention to the money line. I'm just taking Tampa straight up.
That's
but again,
one of those nights where you just got to ride. You got to go with the flow.
Tampa
Go
is
with the ride.
Tampa is a small underdog. Again, Colorado is the chalk in that one. We'll see where it goes. Should be a fun game tonight. A lot of fun last Saturday night, Luke, when we wrapped up the show. We had a lot to talk about with UFC 275, and boy, did it deliver. One of the greatest cards of the year, and one of the greatest cards you'll see, and we have seen in quite some time, and maybe we will ever see. Jiri Prochazka getting it done in the final 28 seconds, slipping in a rear naked
What a
choke
performance,
over
man.
Glover Teixeira out of nowhere. What a performance is right. So many swings of momentum, emotional roller coaster indeed. Absolute physical, bloody war, which saw
Two dudes built like tanks.
Yeah, 2 light heavyweight tanks throwing bombs at each other. We saw grappling exchanges, clinches, knees, elbows, takedowns, submission attempts, ground and pound. It was sheer violence, everything you could want in a light heavyweight mixed martial arts competition. And I even said this to you as we were there in that house watching the event with our friends, all going crazy. I said this may be the single greatest 205-pound MMA bout since John Jones took on Gustafsson for the first time in 2013.
Especially with the finish. The finish is the cherry on top.
And for a black belt, just a black belt, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt like Glover Teixeira to get tapped out by a kickboxing Muay Thai type fighter like Prochazka shows not only how smart Prochazka was to see an opening and go for it and not even worry about the fact that he was a striker attempting it on a grappler. At that point, it was 2 fighters, and one man was going for the finish, and he found it. Glover took his foot off the gas at the wrong time, and Prochazka capitalized, and now we have a new light heavyweight king. An incredible run for Glover Teixeira, was able to have a phenomenal win against Jan Blachowicz, who now looks like the #1 contender, although I will say that fight may warrant an immediate rematch.
Yeah.
Teixeira
you think
did
if it goes to decision, does he win it?
Yes, I do. I think Teixeira did enough in those middle rounds where he controlled the fight with his
championship rounds.
And when he controlled the fight with his grappling, he had a couple of takedowns, had a couple of submission attempts. I think that was going to sway the judges enough to where if he would have survived those final 20-something seconds, he would have gone to the scorecards and gotten his hand raised. And that's why this fight game is just so gripping to the very end, because I know it sounds cliche, but the line between victory and defeat is so thin in that sport, and it was proven why. We also saw
seconds thin.
Yeah,
man.
and we saw Valentina Shevchenko pushed for the first time.
I was about to say what helps what helps the main fight is the rest of the fights before it, the whole card.
Yep.
Even some of the prelim fights we were watching here
were phenomenal, and the fight had to live up to the
card.
card.
The whole night was violent.
A lot of finishes, a lot of
Loved
blood, guts, and gore. The things that MMA fans love so much, and the things that make mixed martial artists the toughest and most well-conditioned athletes on earth. That was all personified times 10 last Saturday night at UFC 275. We saw Valentina Shevchenko get pushed at 125 in a way she has never been pushed before. Some would say even Talia Santos could have won the fight. Again, we talk about the championship rounds. I think Valentina did enough late to secure the win via unanimous decision. She wound up getting it split decision, though, which shows how close it was. We have to wonder what's next for her. Not much left at 125. Given where that division is at this point, she may just have to give Santos, or more so the UFC should have to give Santos an automatic rematch unless Valentina wants to go.
It was a good enough fight.
Wants
You'd
to
like
go back
see it
up.
again, especially split decision.
Exactly.
That's
you
one
have
of
to
those
wonder
rematch fights now.
if it was a coin flip like that. They may have to go at it again. Santos very much built with her grappling and her kickboxing background to compete with Valentina, who really abandoned at certain instances in this fight, abandoned all striking, went for the clinch, went for the takedowns, looked to grapple with Santos, and Santos was able to hold her own on both fronts in the Muay Thai type exchanges standing up and in those wrestling exchanges and sequences while on the mat. We saw some incredible scrambles in both that and the co-main event. And of course, in the rematch, we saw Zhang Weili with an incredible spinning back fist knockout of Joanna Jędrzejczyk. A great first round, a lot of activity, a lot of volume from both fighters, but early in that second, Weili comes over the top with a big back fist. That shot alone will go down as the final shot Joanna will ever take as she retired after the bout. A true maverick in the sport, one of the most important fighters in the history of the sport and that division especially, and she goes down as of right now as the greatest 115-pound champion in UFC history.
Watching, I just kind of felt like she should have the break was just too long. And I was even saying that last week before on the show. I think the break was just too long, and at that point as a fighter, you're talking about the fighting rust, but you could see it with the fighter rust. You could see it on her.
The thing is, and I get what you're saying.
She was out of flow, and it just looked like she was not prepared to just jump back from a 2-year stint to jump right back into a championship fight. That's pretty tough, man. And you could see that. You could see she was, at times, she was kind of like, oh, what did I get myself into?
Well, the
here?
thing is that ring rust doesn't affect the great fighters in terms of what they're able to do offensively. It affects them in the ability, not even so much the layoff. The fact that Joanna's chin was already starting to go because of past wars against Zhang Weili and some other great fighters like Valentina Shevchenko. This is a fighter. She's moved up at 115 and 125. She's fought in women bigger than her and taken abuse from them too. So it wasn't as much the layoff as much as it was the fact that before the layoff, her chin was going as it was. And when your chin goes in this game, you go. Then on top of that, the 2-year layoff couldn't have helped on top of that. We saw a lot of aggression from her early on. Didn't seem too apprehensive, but you could tell when Weili started firing back, Joanna was taking some shots, and it was only
there
a
were
match.
some shots where it was like,
I
this
get
ain't
you.
sparring.
I you're right.
What this feels like.
And it was only a matter of time. It was in the second round. Again, one of the best knockouts all year. Again, to go along with one of the best cards of the year. Phenomenal night for UFC 275. That one's going to be hard to top. But we do have action tonight going down from Houston, Texas. Josh Emmett takes on Calvin Kattar. Great matchup. A lot of great opportunities for a knockout here. I don't think this one goes a distance. Don't have a strong opinion on any of the particular prices. I'm just expecting a great fight, and we should enjoy that one and the featherweight division. 145 pounds has some bangers right now, and Kattar and Emmett are two of them. Kattar more goes off the volume. Emmett more so goes off the sheer power and just the explosive knockout shots, but both have the ability to really slip in stuff from unique angles and just really put it on you when they connect. This fight will be big in terms of the rankings for the 145-pound division, and I think someone is going to sleep tonight. Could be a fun one. Do have a betting play, though, in the squared circle. Great top-rank action going down for the 175-pound unification for the 175-pound gold. Artur Beterbiev takes on Joe Smith Jr. Each have 2 belts. Obviously, we know Dimitri Bivol has the other ones. Likely the winner of this will take him on, especially if Canelo doesn't have that rematch with him. We saw Bivol completely outbox Canelo, who is the best fighter in the world. We know how formidable he is. This fight also features 2 very formidable 175-pound fighters, which will very much refine the landscape of the light heavyweight division. I think Joe Smith Jr., really tough, really game, really violent. He's here for a fight. He's just one of those. Honestly, Lugo, he's a tough, tatted white boy from Long Island. He is down for the smoke, and he is not going to be afraid of Beterbiev at all. But when you look at the big Russian, he is just an absolute monster. every single one of his fights has been via stoppage. He has never gone to the scorecards, has knocked out every single one of his opponents, and because of that, it's hard to imagine Joe Smith Jr. surviving this fight. However, I think he is talented enough and skilled enough to be able to push Beterbiev into the later rounds. My play on this bout is an exact outcome in terms of the range of when it ends, because I don't like the value. Beterbiev is a minus 700 favorite. Smith comes back as the plus 500 dog. Don't like the chalk there with Beterbiev, but I do like the plus 250 price on Beterbiev to wins around 7 through 9. Like last week, didn't like the value associated with the bout itself, so you have to be more specific. Bet props, bet the outcome, bet when or how or where in the fight it will end, and I think it ends in round 7 to 9 at a price of plus 250. After a while, I think the size and the power of Beterbiev is just going to be a bit too much. Joe Smith Jr. has the right type of body type, and you can make the case has a more seasoned pro career to prepare him for this moment. He's a man who ended the career of Bernard Hopkins, has fought Bivol, one of the best, if not the very best, in the division right now. He has fought some real world-class pros, where Beterbiev, not so much. Not saying they're complete cans, but the pedigree of fighter he has fought since turning pro, not quite up to the task that Joe Smith Jr. has been facing throughout his career. However, Beterbiev, phenomenal amateur background, took down some of the best in the amateur ranks over across seas in Russia before coming over to the States to start his pro career. He has dominated the light heavyweight division, and again, no one has gone the distance with him yet. I expect he gets yet another knockout here tonight against the always game and extremely tough Joe Smith Jr. His chin will be ready to take some shots here tonight, but I think it will be ultimately too much for him. The power and the sheer ferocity and size of Beterbiev, I think, gets it done in rounds 7 through 9 at a plus 250 price. So there's my play on the fight tonight. Nothing in UFC. Basketball's a wrap. May have some future plays along with Lugo here in the next few weeks. We'll have to chew that over a little more and also just see how the offseason goes. There'll be a lot to gauge. Now it's time to shift to a little bit of baseball betting and betting what hockey we can for the next week or so. But Lugo, about 2 minutes left before we wrap up and get out of here. Really quick, I know you want to give a quick shout out, but before you do, you have now been, about 2 weeks betting with the Boyd app? Just about, give or take a few days. What is your biggest takeaway? You said last week, bet what you know, you learned that lesson, but now that you've bet a little bit more, how's it going? Give us a progress
honestly,
report.
since we talked about it last week, I haven't really been able to. I've been
he's been busy.
Kind of been busy, you know. Tuesday we took off. I was out in Colorado. Took off to Colorado. Took my football team out there. Shout out to the Rancho Rams out there. They had a great camp out in Colorado Mesa. Shout out to them for housing us there. Great camp. But hey, man, I'm gonna get bounced back at it this week. Trying to get, you know what I mean. Trying to get some baseball, see how I swing on that. Like you said, bet what you know. I didn't listen to myself the last bet I had was it Sunday night was the last was that game that was it Sunday or Saturday?
Yeah.
Yes, whatever whatever game that was, 3 or 4.
It was Sunday.
Yeah, that Sunday night game. I didn't bet. I didn't even listen to what I said on the show.
Yeah, didn't take your own advice.
The over, man. I missed it by like 3 points.
It's all good, and that's why those over-under bets, especially in NBA, are so intriguing. In hockey, they get a little bit easier as the higher they go, especially now. But even when we look at Game 1, we had 7 total goals scored. Yep. That went over. So I'm even scared tonight. Again, one of my picks, I have 2 picks tonight. I have the under in the hockey game, and again, Beterbiev to win in rounds 7 through 9. I like the price there. Even though I think this will be more defensive-oriented than Game 1 on the ice, I'm still sweating it out a little bit.
I'm a double prop it, and I'll go with the Lightning, and you're under.
So you're parlaying it. There you go. So we got.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask with 30 seconds left before we get out of here.
I got you. I'll put it on.
So there you go.
Right now, I'll put it in stone.
There's Lugo. He'll get on the app. You guys should do the same.
Result to come.
Yeah, results pending. Lugo's going to parlay tonight. The under in Tampa Bay. I like the under, and again, Beterbiev to win via knockout later in the fight tonight, going down from Madison Square Garden. So a lot of action. We put a bow on the NBA, but plenty to talk about as we move forward. U.S. Open action. A lot of fun stuff there.
Yes.
Morikawa.
Phil missed it.
Phil missed the cut, and he missed it
that's
bad.
That
went
is
8
bad.
over on his first on day 1, on round 1, on his birthday, and then didn't get much better on Friday for round 2. He missed the cut, yet some of the most prominent players in the game today find themselves in contention. The favorite, Rory McIlroy, had a strong showing day 1, came back down to earth in day 2.
Day
2.
two.
I'm so
I
caught up
got
in the
you,
hockey
man.
and the basketball. We saw round 2, Rory fall back down to earth, but we see players like Zalatoris, John Rahm, and Colin Morikawa shoot their way up. It'll be interesting to see where they all finish. I like Zalatoris, Morikawa, and Rory all for top 10 finishes. Ate some chalk by picking Rory to win it. We'll see how he does. He's been playing great. Wins the Royal Canadian Open coming into this week. We'll see where it's all said and done, where Rory finishes, but I'm liking the top 10 finish as of right now. Will Zalatoris has been playing his ass off in 2022. Got him in the top 10 for Augusta and recently for the PGA, where he found himself comfortably, and he is sitting with the lead heading into the final round come Sunday. Will be fun over in Brookline, Massachusetts at the Country Club, a historic course, and hopefully we can maybe see an historic Sunday. Hasn't been necessarily a lot of gripping drama the first 3 days, but the U.S. Open is known to kick some ass with its greens and the conditions of the course, and we have seen that for some players. We saw it for the first 3 rounds. We may see it for the final round again tomorrow, so enjoy that. Good luck on your bets. Enjoy all the action that we have here tonight. And Lugo, thank you, my friend. This has been a blast
problem, man.
the past couple of weeks.
Won't be
Lugo and
here
I
next week though.
Yeah, Lugo and I will have plenty to talk about, though, in the near future, both in the world of sports and out. So stay tuned here on Go Live Vegas. We hope to have that show and some new programming related to, let's just say, some big projects we have in the making, as I just found out getting in the studio earlier today. So a lot on the Go Live Vegas airwaves to come. Catch us on video through social media, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Catch our audio feed through Alexa, through the Go Live Vegas app. Watch us, listen to us, be part of the Go Live Vegas experience. Great stuff from Richard here on the show. Lugo, thank you.
Always a
Aaron,
pleasure.
everyone tuning in, we love you, we appreciate you, and we will catch you same time, same place next week here on Full Tilt Vegas.
Go Rams.